Did you think golf would be easy? I did, and I played Division 2 golf and shot 59 in a professional golf event. But it was an absolute grind, and I wish I'd done things smarter to speed up my progress. So to help you play your best golf of your life and make the whole entire process 10 times easier, here are 10 things I wish I had known sooner. Lesson number 1. The worst thing about golf is when you hit your drive down the middle of the fairway and then you miss the green with a wedge in hand. You either completely duff it or just hit it way too far left or way too far right. And I used to get extremely frustrated with that, and errors would just continuously compound during my round, and it would make it very difficult for me to actually come back from that. But it wasn't until I read the stat about Tiger Woods in 2000. He was the best player in the world, and he missed the green 1 in 5 times from 100 yards away. And so by recognizing that stat and understanding that the game of golf is very difficult, we need to manage our expectations and actually be a little bit less harder on ourselves when we're out there on the golf course. It's okay to hit a bad shot. We're not perfect human beings. So lesson number 1 is that golf is harder than what we think. So let's be kinder to ourselves out there. Lesson number 2. I remember standing on the range, hitting balls next to our number 1 player on our college team. And he would never work on his golf swing. He would never try to get his takeaway into a perfect positioning. All he would try to do would be to hit the desired ball flight that he was looking for. And that just allowed me to stop forcing my golf swing into certain positions that aren't actually necessary unless they're making a difference in what the ball flight is doing out there. And so lesson number 2 is that you can get better at golf without changing your golf swing. You don't necessarily have to have everything in a perfect position on the way down to hit the golf ball where you want it to go. So you can just practice hitting certain shots and your body will self-organize itself to hit the desired shots. Lesson number 3, I used to average 77 in college golf. And it wasn't until I started to realize the difference between feel and reality that has now allowed me to average 72.5 as a professional. So whatever you feel like is happening in your golf swing, it's not actually reality. We need to base it off what that ball flight is actually doing. And when I'm actually practicing, it's being able to understand that the ball flight is going to be our biggest judge. And so we need to base our swing feelings off what that ball flight is doing. Even though it might feel like we're not doing that, we need to consistently remind ourselves that it's the reality that we need to base our swing changes off. And by using that process out on the golf course and on the range, it's what has allowed me to have that 5-stroke lower scoring average out there on the golf course. And so lesson number 3 is just realizing that consistency does not mean repeating the same thing over and over again. It means understanding what's happening and then solving it from there, even if it doesn't feel like you're doing that during your golf swing. Lesson number 4. I used to search the internet and YouTube trying to find the correct swing thought that I needed to improve my golf game. And I thought to myself, there has to be a simpler way to go about this. That there must be a few key elements that we need to control in order for us to hit the desired shot shape out there on the golf course. And the 3 variables that I've come up with is we need to control our strike location, we need to control the flight or the height of it, and we also need to control the direction of it. If we can manage all 3 of those, there's absolutely no reason why we can't hit the shots that we're looking for. And so lesson number 4 is that every swing change that you need to make has to relate back to either 3 of those elements. It needs to improve the strike, the direction, or the height of the golf shot. If you're not making that change, it's probably a completely waste of time. Lesson number 5. I remember standing on the range, hitting every single shot out towards the right, with my coach standing next to me, who was the one that helped me completely turn my game around. And he said to me, well, why don't you just strengthen up your grip? And I said, but my grip is already neutral. And he said, well, you're hitting it out to the right, so you need to make some adjustment to try to hit it straighter. And so I strengthened my grip and instantly started to hit it straighter. And so lesson number 5 is that functionality over aesthetics is so much more important. It doesn't matter if your grip looks a little bit weird if the ball flight actually improves out there on the golf course. Lesson number 6. I spent $3,000 on a 6-month plan with a golf coach. I was struggling to break 80, shooting high 70s, low 80s, and struggling to make my college golf team. And on the very first FaceTime session we had, he gave me 1 swing thought, and that was it. I honestly couldn't believe it. I thought he was joking. And fast forward 2.5 years later, by just working on 1 swing thought at a time, I've been able to shoot 59 in a professional golf event and be the happiest I've ever been out on the golf course just by focusing on that 1 swing thought over and over again. And having that confidence that you used to have as a kid is a feeling like no other and just cannot be achieved by focusing on so many different parts of the golf swing. And so lesson number 6 is that you do not have to work on more than 1 swing thought in your golf swing. Just pick the lowest hanging fruit and work on that for a long period of time until you get it sorted. Then you can change to the next swing thought. Lesson number 7. I used to slice the golf ball every single time I would go out and play. And like I said before, it wasn't until I started to make one swing change over a period of time that actually made a difference in my game. But that was about 2 to 3 years of good solid work. And because of that mindset shift and a different perspective on how to go about changing the golf swing, I can now confidently set up to the golf ball and actually hit the draw that I'm looking for. And so lesson number 7 is that swing changes just take way longer than expected. If you think it's going to take 2 months, it's probably going to take 6 or even 8 or even 10. We just overestimate what we can do in a week and completely underestimate what we can do in years. Lesson number 8, I was completely lost with my mental game. I was searching YouTube for the right thing, 5 different coaches, and just never sticking to one consistent actual plan of attack to improve my golf game. But it was just a constant cycle of disappointment until I found one golf coach that I actually stuck with and trusted for a 6-month period. From our time together, I was able to completely free up my mind and play the best golf of my life. And so lesson number 8 is just sticking with something even if it's not correct. It's so much more important just to stick with the plan rather than worrying about if it's correct or not, because it's the commitment and the patience that's actually going to get you real results within your golf game. Lesson number 9. I used to stand up on tee boxes with my driver in hand thinking that it could go 50 yards right or 50 yards left, and it felt like there was nothing actually in between that I was going to hit. My anxiety was through the roof. But by spending countless hours of actually improving my swing technique so that one, my club face wasn't wide open because that's what was happening, and understanding that in my DNA, I need to have a stronger grip to try to allow myself to square up the club face when I'm hitting the golf shot. Because the reality is the only way that you build confidence is by seeing undeniably good golf shots over a period of time. You need to have the results to build the confidence. And so lesson number 9 is that a good technique can make golf a hell of a lot easier. Even if you don't feel like your mental game's in a good spot, your technique, if it's in a good position, can override those negative and anxious feelings. And lesson number 10, I wanted to try to learn everything about the golf swing. What the takeaway should be, what the top of the backswing should be, and what the downswing should be as well. But it wasn't until I started to learn about my own swing DNA, like having a stronger grip for myself, that I was able to understand what I needed to do to become a better golfer. Because when I tried to focus on everything, nothing got better. My scores were worse, and I was losing confidence out on the golf course. Until I stopped worrying about trying to understand the entire golf swing and just realized my personal DNA and what I needed to do to improve my game. And so the last lesson here, lesson number 10, is that understanding your swing DNA is so much more important than understanding the entire golf swing as a whole. Although all of these lessons that I've taught you today are incredibly powerful, if you don't have the understanding of what to do to actually improve your golf swing, then you're not going to make any lasting change to the scores that you shoot. So watch this video here so that you can hit the ball more consistently, more cleanly, and get better results and real results out on the golf course the next time you go out and play.